A lot of great speakers, and I'm so excited. Good morning, everyone. First of all, isn't it great that City Hall feels like this today, this morning, right now? Thank you so much for being here. I'm thrilled to be here today with so many leaders in our community, advocates, activists, fighters who've been pushing for this day for a long time coming. Today we are here to announce our new office that will be specifically focused on serving, uplifting, advancing, highlighting the LGBTQ+ community. You'll hear from many of the leaders who have been involved with this for years and years, long before I had the privilege of stepping into this role. And so I really want to emphasize how much of an effort this has been generationally for the City of Boston to get to this point. Before we dive into remarks, I want to acknowledge some of our guests. Everyone, there's so many people I'm even seeing out here that need to be acknowledged, but I'll read through a list of just some folks. First, State Senator Julian Cyr, thank you so much for joining us and for your advocacy at the State House every day. City Councilor Liz Braden, City Councilor Ruthie Louijean, City Councilor Michael Flaherty, City Councilor Aaron Murphy, City Councilor Kenzie Bach, City Council President Ed Flynn, City Councilor Tanya Fernandes Anderson. We're matching this morning. Did I miss any councilors or elected officials? I think I got it right. Okay. And many members of our leadership team here at City Hall as well, including Chief of Equity and Inclusion, Maria Angeli Solis Herrera. Lots and lots of city folks sprinkled all throughout our audience here. I also want to shout out the leadership of our Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, Rob Santiago. Deputy Brian Bishop, congratulations to both for leading an incredible, safe, welcoming, inclusive parade this last weekend. Thanks for all of your work. We are also going to, let me see if we're hearing from everyone. We will also hear from later, but the current, and as he says, the last, LGBTQ+ liaison in that limited role from the Office of Neighborhood Services, Quincy Roberts Sr. Today we also have actually the first ever LGBTQ liaison for the City of Boston, who's now serving in the Age Strong Commission, Julianne Lee. We're joined by Adriana Boulin, Director of Community Impact and Engagement from Fenway Health. Chastity Bowick, Executive Director of the Trans Emergency Fund. Deputy Superintendent Richard Dayhill of the Boston Police Department, LGBTQ+ liaison for the department. Kara Hayes, LGBTQ+ liaison for the District Attorney's Office. Dee Murray, LGBTQ+ liaison for the Boston Public Schools. A hero of mine, the director of the Boston Alliance of Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender Youth, Bagley, Grace Sterling Stowell. We're also joined by Men of Melanin Magic, Mass Trans Resistance, House of Threes, lots of organizations who are here in support as well. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Right before today's event, I had the honor and deeply moving privilege of meeting with the Trans Emergency Fund and members and staff and community about the work that they do every day. The Trans Emergency Fund maintains a support network that trans folks across Massachusetts can tap into, whether they're facing discrimination, eviction, in need of medical services or mental health support, of community. TEF connects them with the resources they need. This essential work is often underfunded. I'll just say that. Always underfunded and overlooked. And I'm so grateful to TEF and the organizations across our city that recognize the urgency of providing support and services to the queer community here in Boston. Leaders like Chastity and organizations like TEF have fought for decades to secure and protect rights and freedoms that many of us take for granted. I'd like to start by grounding us in a bit of history. In the early 1970s, the Massachusetts Gay and Lesbian Political Caucus filed legislation to extend civil rights protections to the gay and lesbian communities. But it wasn't until the late 80s, more than 15 years later, that community advocates succeeded in getting the State House and then Governor Michael Dukakis to ban discrimination based on sexual orientation. It was a momentous victory, but one that took too long and didn't go far enough. It didn't go far enough for the elders who had to live through yet another decade without equal protection under the law. For the young people who grew up wondering when, if ever, our leaders would decide that the discrimination they face matters enough to do something about it. It didn't go far enough for the members of the community who are bi and trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, and even after the law passed, it was met with hate and ignorance and constant threats of repeal. Progress is often a fight, but it's also a dance. It requires leadership, partnership, and the path is rarely a straight line. Today, even as we've made great strides